Hey there, and welcome to Real Brides. This is the podcast where we sit down with recently married brides to talk all things wedding, with real advice from brides who have been there, done that, and want to help you do it better. I'm Rosanna with Shotwell Productions, New Jersey's highest rated photography and videography company. Let's dive in. Hello, thank you, Kristen and Kyle, for joining in on our podcast, talking about real brides. You guys have been married. You did all the planning, and you guys got married on December 3rd of 2021. Is that right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you guys because you guys are a bit more traditional in the way that you guys planned your wedding. And I feel like it's not as common anymore. And I just love that you guys were both on board with it. So you guys opted to get ready at a hotel and then have a traditional Catholic wedding in a church, and then go to a reception. And your reception was at the Ramsey Golf and Country Club. So I'd love to just hear a little bit more about why did you guys decide on a Catholic church wedding? You seem young and fun. Why was this so important and big for you?
Well, we both grew up Catholic, so it really wasn't anything that it kind of was just always what we had in mind. We always knew that a lot of our family got married Catholic, but we knew we didn't want to do the full mass. A lot of times the full mass does tend to be a little bit long, and there's people who are not Catholic that are coming. The thing about the Catholic Church is you do have to get married in the church. If you want to get married by a priest, it has to physically be in the church. So I do know a lot of people who have had religious ceremonies, but it's at the venue. So, we kind of weren't, it was really, if we wanted to get married Catholic, we had to do it in the church. So, we kind of always knew that it wasn't like anybody was just twisting our arm or anything, but we went with a church, the church that I grew up in, which is a relatively casual church. It's not super old fashioned. It's pretty progressive. So we really weren't concerned going into it that it was going to be really stuffy and, people were going to have to sit and do Hail Marys for an hour or anything like that. It was actually a very casual type of mass. They let my cousin sing. They let, my aunt and my other cousin did a reading, and my, nieces and nephews were part of it as well. And it was about 20 minutes long?
Yeah, 20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
20 or 30 minutes. And, it's a beautiful church. And it was a winter wedding too. So it's not like we could have gotten married on the beach somewhere.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was never really something that we had to discuss. We kind of knew we were always going to have a Catholic wedding. It was more just whose church we were going to choose. My church was closer to the venue.
Right.
And, the priest that we had, my friend is actually getting married in a couple months. She's using him as well because he's very, there's different types of Catholic churches, and ours was a little bit more casual, which I think helped.
Yeah, and it was a ceremony too. So like Kristen mentioned, it's not a full blown mass. So people aren't sitting there for like an hour and change, getting bored. It was done right. I think it was done during Advent. So our colors kind of matched with the church because of the season of the church was Advent. So it really worked out in a lot of ways.
So we didn't need any decorations or anything. It was already on. We just basically had to show up. And that's actually another practical thing was when you get married in a church, you're kind of limited with the decorations, which to me was good because I didn't have to decorate another room.
That's true. That's true. So pick your season with your church. It might help you in the long run.
Yeah, and it's
yeah, exactly. In spring it's Easter, so lighter colors, sure. In the winter it's a little darker colors, so it worked out. And they don't allow runners and stuff like that at the churches anymore. I guess for
safety reasons,
safety purposes. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. You just have to do the rehearsal. What was that, the night before or so?
Yep.
And that was it.
Yeah, and they handle a lot of the logistics as well because they have a person who actually runs the rehearsal dinner itself. Okay. So she was very much like, you go here, this is what you do, this is how long it's going to take.
Very regimented.
Very regimented. And it kind of, in a way, it really did help because sometimes when you get married at a venue, you're not having the maitre d' or manager or whatever, he or she has been to a lot of weddings, hosted a lot of weddings and everything, but they might not be in tune with the actual ceremony. So it was really, I really didn't have any, people have a lot of preconceived notions about a church wedding, but I had some relatives there who are not Catholic, who are not even Christians at all. And it wasn't like they felt uncomfortable or anything. It's not like they had to pay attention to when to stand up or sit down. They're very aware that there's non-Catholics in the audience.
Yeah.
That's good. Because I think that's the hardest part of Catholic church is like, when do you kneel? When do you stand? When are you supposed to reply? And what are you supposed to say?
And they're very aware of that. And honestly, the Catholic Church, most Catholic churches are a little more progressive now, and they understand that, they need to change the times a little bit. And I think that at least our church has. And that's where, the Pre-Cana came in. And my friend is actually getting married in the same church, and she's saying the same thing.
Wow. So yeah, let's talk about the Pre-Cana, because that's not something that, if you don't have a church wedding, a lot of people are like, what is that? And
yeah,
like I was raised Catholic, and even I was like, what is that? And I know that in the past it's been like very rigorous. Like some people will come out and they're like, oh my gosh, I think I much have rather had like open heart surgery than go through the Pre-Cana. And I'm like, what is this? So like, can you explain a little bit like what the Pre-Cana is? Like what was involved? Like,
well, for us, it's only offered once or twice a year, and they condensed it a lot. It used to be like when our parents did it, it was like a weekend away, and it was like a retreat. And it was kind of like uncomfortable because it was very old fashioned, and you're being taught by a bunch of priests, and what do they know about marriage?
True.
When we did it, we actually were out of town for that weekend, so they sent us videos to do, and the videos were very dated, but we chuckled a little bit because they were definitely shot in like the early 2000s. But my best friend, who is also getting married soon, she's doing the same church as us, and she said it was a wonderful day. She actually very much enjoyed it. It was a long day, but they're very good with not, like I said, changing with the times. They're not going to sit there and ask you all kinds of questions about if you're living together and all that kind of stuff. They understand times are different. Yes, the Catholic Church still has certain traditions, but they become good with finding ways to make people feel welcome. And I think that that's what's really good about the church we got married in is they recognize that there's a lot less people getting married Catholic, and they're looking into the reasons why. And my friend pretty much told me, she was like, she really thought it was a good day.
oh,
It was a great day to get to know your spouse a little bit more, and some things you might not have known. And here I think there usually are couples who do kind of talk to you about marriage and life and things like that. And like I said, we had videos, so it was a little bit different. But like I said, she said it was a long day, but it wasn't painful. You didn't leave feeling like a terrible Catholic or anything.
that's good. Because Catholics are very good at that.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly too, I know people who are married in other Christian faiths too, and they have their own version of it.
Oh, okay.
They have their own version of counseling before and everything. So people tend to get scared when they hear Catholic stuff because they think it's going to be a priest or a nun lecturing them or something. But
our priest reassured us beforehand, like of how it was going to go down and stuff, and he was phenomenal through the whole process.
He was pretty young too.
Yeah, Father John is very young, and he, from first time meeting him prior to doing Pre-Cana to the day of the ceremony, like he cracked jokes during the homily. He got to know us because he has to tell a story between our relationship and how it relates to God and everything. And he did a really, really good job of keeping everyone, entertained in a way, but also keeping it serious as well.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like you can't always, like you want to crack a joke, but it's got to be appropriate, right?
Yeah. These guys are great. I mean, I think priests gotta give a lot of credit the way they have to write stuff up all the time on a weekly basis.
And he met us once.
Yeah, and he just met us once really, and that's it. So he did a great job.
Yep, it really captured our relationship and captured the things that we had told him. And it was not at all. People say they don't like to be the center of attention and whatnot. And yes, there is a little bit of that, but it's like that with any wedding ceremony. People are at your wedding ceremony, they're going to be looking at you.
Yeah, choice.
Now, I always have to ask this because this is like, you're in a church, you're surrounded by your family, you're standing right in front of a priest. Was it weird for having your first married kiss in front of a priest, or were you just like, it is fine?
I think some people go over the top sometimes. They get a little too carried away. I think if we did not get carried away, we just kind of like everybody's looking at you anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like whether or not it was in a church or it was, just a ceremony somewhere else, I don't think you want to be like making out in front of your whole family.
Yeah.
God in front of Jesus, in front of everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like all statues everywhere and mom sitting in the front and dad.
My grandparents were watching over a camera. Yeah. My grandparents were watching over Facebook.
Yeah. That's another thing about the church is they do live stream
They did live stream it. So, my aunt, I think, was the one that coordinated it down. She was there present in the church, but she let my grandparents know how to get on the live stream.
Because they were in Florida and they were not going to be able to come up.
They couldn't make it. Yeah.
It's a great way to include them without having to put them out or make them travel or all that stress, right? Because sometimes grandparents, whether it's like healthy.
They're in their 90s, they were not going to be able to come up, especially from Florida.
Yeah, especially Florida, especially the holidays.
And in the middle of winter when it's like super warm.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. So it sounds like you had like a really good young priest that was a lot more progressive. The Pre-Cana was not painful. It was just like a day of learning and an opportunity, really, is what it sounds like for you guys. So
yeah, and like I said, there's no shaming. There was no some of the videos were, like I said, a little bit dated, but it was just like the hairstyles. It wasn't, but that was different for us because we had to do the video version.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you said you also had like kind of a day of coordinator on your wedding day that was like, do this, be here, do that.
Oh, exactly. And it was kind of funny because she kind of set the expectations that we didn't have to set in a sense. So she was my friend is having her now too. And it's like, look, nobody better be drunk walking down the aisle. So it's like, we kind of had to like, it doesn't have to be us saying that. That's why when people were like, oh, I want a drink, we're like, no, church doesn't allow it. And we didn't want that anyway. So it was good. It was like, nope, the church says we can't. So it took some of the pressure off of us.
I like that. And it sounds like she was pretty organized and in control of what was going on. So that was really, really nice.
Yep. And she said, anybody, we had 4 kids under the age of like 6 there. And she was like, line up. Hold. I mean, there's a picture of them just staring at her. Like she wasn't mean or anything, but she ran a tight ship and it was perfect.
Yeah.
She's the boss and everyone's listening.
Boss.
Oh, I love that. Now, did you guys take pictures at the church after the ceremony?
Yes, we actually mostly did inside pictures because it was cold out. We did a really quick receiving line, and then we went back into the church and took pictures inside. We did have a little bit of the one thing that was a bit of a challenge was we did have to pay extra for the limo because we went over the time at the limo. Like the limo was only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time. So that's like one of the things that I keep in mind when like my friends are getting married is like just pay attention to how long the limo is waiting. Do you want to do photos after the ceremony? Do you want to go to the venue first to get pictures there? Because you might end up getting charged a whole nother hour for.
Yeah, we got nailed for that, but also the challenge in getting married in December is that you're racing the sun. So, we were like, okay, we're going to get most of our photos done here at the church because by the time we get into the limo, drive up to the country club, which was 15-20 minute ride, you're losing a lot of sunlight.
Yeah.
And we did take photos at the venue and it's darker, much darker out. So.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point. I forget that in New Jersey and just on the East Coast in December, it's like dark at 3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some really nice sunset pictures, and it looked pretty cool with like the stained glass windows and like the sun setting and everything. It was freezing, like literally my makeup.
It was the wind.
Our eyes are tearing. Yeah, we got some really cool outside pictures because the venue was all stone and it had all the glass windows and everything. So we got some really cool photos, but
It didn't last long.
We didn't last long. Yeah, and I was not going to make my parents or my bridesmaids stand outside in the cold. So, but I don't think we wanted the traditional like pictures with just the bridal party and everything. But how many of those can you get?
Yeah. And we didn't do a first look, so
that's typically not done in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's not done. So I know a lot of people will do that just to get the photos out of the way too, but we didn't do that. So ultimately, it was like us against the sun
and the cold.
And the cold.
So you had some element things that to battle on, but it sounds like
same thing too if you get married when it's really hot out too. I've been in weddings where it's been like 95 degrees out and everybody's like sweating. So I always said I'd rather be cold than hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you always put layers on. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your experience of having a traditional Catholic church wedding, because I know a lot of people are really scared of it or they feel like it's old fashioned, but it sounds like you guys that was really important to you. And it was pretty quick and painless for everyone else too. And your guests, it's not like you were dragging them through an hour and a half ceremony. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for sharing your experience on our podcast. We really, really appreciate it. And we hope that you watch your episode. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
This is it for this episode of Real Brides. If you found something helpful, make sure to follow, subscribe, or share it with someone who is planning their I do. We have new episodes every week packed with more real talk from real brides. No filters, just facts. Thanks for listening and happy planning.